Is this actually the future of the Steam Deck? Is this what we're going to see, or are they going to continue to make hardware? Hey everyone, today we're going to take a look at the first handheld PC to release with SteamOS that wasn't made by Valve, and that's the Legion Go S from Lenovo. So this is not to be confused with the previous Legion Go S that came out a few months ago. This is the new one that comes with the Z1 Extreme processor and is much more powerful. Today we're going to look at this device, do a quick overview, and I'll share my first impressions about it. So let's take a closer look. First, we'll start off with the ergonomics and the weight. So the device itself is not too heavy. It comes in at 734 grams. And when we compare that to the Steam Deck OLED, that one's coming in at 640. So it's about a 90 gram difference. But I have to say that the Go S hides that weight pretty well because of how balanced it is. So when you're holding it in your hand, it just feels really good. Like it doesn't feel top heavy or bottom heavy. It's pretty balanced equally here. And I think largely the grips also play a part to that. So when I'm holding it, it just fits naturally into my palms. My fingers line up with the buttons here, and it's just a nice grip. They're not too large, they're not too small. It seems like just the right size for my hands. It also has very comfortable controls, like the joysticks are decent. They're a nice range of motion, and they're also pretty tight. The face buttons, I would say, are very similar to the Steam Deck. Like they're both kind of clicky, which I do kind of like. The D-pad is decent, like it rolls pretty well, and I don't really have any complaints about it. I was able to hit all of the angles when I was playing Celeste, testing it out. The bumpers are nice, they're nice and clicky, and you can press them at any spot and you will get a press. Triggers are really good. They actually remind me a lot of the Steam Deck triggers, about the same range of motion and the same feel. One thing that I'll say is different though is that you do get this trigger stop, so you can turn this on, and then you get a short throw trigger that's better for shooter games if you want to be a little bit quicker. And you can just turn it off by just simply sliding that down. There's also a trackpad, which in game mode doesn't really matter because it's not really functioning. But if you're using it on the desktop mode, it's definitely nice to have so you can navigate a little bit easier. So overall, I would say that the ergonomics, like it's probably one of the most comfortable 8-inch devices that I've tested, maybe the most comfortable. It's a bit of a close one between this one and the A1X, but the grippy plastic here, I think, is what makes the difference between the two. If we look at the Steam Deck though, this one has been widely praised for its ergonomics, and that still stands today. Like it's a very comfortable device. The joysticks seem to just line up perfectly with your fingers, and it's not really a far movement to the face buttons. And overall, it's, yeah, your back buttons are very accessible. It's a very comfy handheld. It's not too heavy. So I would say that these two, when it comes to ergonomics, are very comparable. I would say that this is definitely on the Steam Deck level when it comes to the ergonomics. So the ergonomics are great, fits nice in the hand, and while I have it in the hand, why don't I show you some gameplay? First up, we're going to take a look at Cyberpunk 2077, and I'm just going to put these two devices side by side. We have the Legion Go S on the left side and the Steam Deck OLED on the right. And right now at 15 watts, we can see that there's about a 5-frame advantage for the Legion Go S. With these settings, we have the Steam Deck at its max settings for power, and the Legion Go S going down to 15 watts seems to outperform it. And if we max out the Legion Go S, now that's at 40 watts and the Steam Deck's at 15, so it's not fair, but both devices at their max settings, we're going to get about a 30 FPS advantage for the Legion Go S. All this to show how much more performance you can get out of the Go S if you're willing to sacrifice battery life or if you're near a power outlet. Next up, we have Spider-Man 2, and same as last time, we're going to check 15 watt and max performance. We have the Legion Go S on the left, Steam Deck OLED on the right, and we're getting about in between anywhere from a 5 to 10 FPS advantage for the Go S. And if we max out the TDP for the Legion Go S, we're able to get almost double the frame rate of the Steam Deck. So yes, it is 40 watts, but again, this is something that you can't do on your Steam Deck. You can't bring it up to 40 watts. So the overall FPS gains that we can get with the extra wattage here is pretty dramatic. And now the last demo here is Persona 5, and we have this all the way down to 5 watts. And for the Legion Go S, we're getting between 15 to like 25 FPS, so not very stable. But then when we move over to the Steam Deck, this is where the Steam Deck really shines. It is the low TDP king because we're able to play this over 30 FPS at 5 watts. So if you're going to be playing some older games at really low TDP, you're probably still better off with the Steam Deck. So as you can see from the gameplay test, just a very quick demo, the Legion Go S is performing the same as the Steam Deck, actually a little bit higher at 15 watts. The nice part about the Legion Go S though is that you have more headroom. So if you wanted to go and crank up the TDP, you can go all the way up to 40 watts. And at 40 watts, you can see that it definitely outperforms the Steam Deck. So if you're near power or aren't too worried about battery life, you get that nice advantage of being able to crank it up a bit more. Moving on, the next biggest thing that I think is the highlight of this device itself is actually just native SteamOS. So it looks almost identical to the Steam Deck. I'm running the same version on both of these. The difference, of course, is stuff like TDP limit. Here we have 40 watts, where on the Steam Deck we go up to 15. We also have a higher refresh display here, so you can go to 120 hertz, where on the Steam Deck, I believe it's 90. So this is the Steam Deck OLED. Another nice thing about SteamOS is the updates are handled a lot easier. Like, you don't have to go to Windows updates and then AMD updates and then Legion Space updates. It's all just done in one spot. So if we go to our settings here, you can see that we have system, and then you can just check for updates. You have some options, but it's all easily managed and will update itself automatically. Is this actually the future of the Steam Deck? Is this what we're going to see, or are they going to continue to make hardware? Now, it's probably not mutually exclusive. I'm sure they're going to do both, but it only makes sense that they would put this on other platforms, because for Valve, like, we have Steam here. This is going to push Steam game sales, and for them, that's their main revenue source. So I don't see why they wouldn't want to push this to as many devices as possible. And honestly, I'm completely here for it, because it's not like they're blocking you from doing the other things. If you would like to use your other game stores, you can. The only one that you can't right now is Game Pass, which is very unfortunate, because I do have an active Game Pass subscription. But I mean, with this device, you can always just dual boot Windows. So when you want to access Game Pass, just boot into the Windows side. That's the beauty of handheld PCs. You have tons of freedom, and you can basically do what you'd like. Sticking a bit here with SteamOS, I really do like it, and why I'm saying that is it's great for people that are coming from consoles. So myself, I make all sorts of guides and tutorials for Windows handhelds, but believe it or not, I'm actually new to Windows handhelds. I only started playing Windows PC games basically 2 years ago when I started the channel. Before that, I was a console gamer, so moving from consoles to SteamOS, my first handheld was a Steam Deck, it was, not a big jump. You had the very similar UI to, let's say, a PS4, PS5, and the settings that you had to do for each game, there are things you could optimize, but a lot of them were, defaulted to low settings. Or you could just go to low settings and know that the game is probably going to run okay. So after taking a quick look and sharing my thoughts on, SteamOS and whatnot, I would say that this is the Go S that we should have got in the first place. I wasn't really a big fan of the Z2 Go Legion Go S because, it was underperformant, and I wasn't really sure what its place in the market was, because it didn't perform as well as the Steam Deck, but it also cost more. And it just seemed like kind of a bit of an oddball. Now that we have this new one with the Z1 Extreme, we get the performance, and it actually kind of feels like a bit of an upgrade from the Steam Deck. So it's like a Steam Deck 1.5 or, a Steam Deck Plus, whatever you want to call it. And, I'm all for it because, like I had mentioned, SteamOS is a great entry point for people joining handhelds. And right now I see the handheld scene as really picking up, and there's a lot more people joining, but there's a lot more people joining and feeling kind of burned because it's their first time with Windows, and it's a little bit harder with a handheld than it is, let's say, with a desktop PC, because there's a lot of little things that you need to tweak and optimize. So yeah, I'm really happy to see that they're making this move, and I see that this is probably going to be where handhelds are kind of shifting. Xbox is looking to work on a handheld mode, which is a little bit simplified. And now we have SteamOS showing up on other devices. It's a great time to be a handheld gamer, or if you're considering joining, now is probably a good time. So do I recommend this device? If you're someone that likes to have the top device, maybe hold out until the Legion Go 2 comes out. But if you're looking for an overall rounded experience that's a little bit better than the Steam Deck, I would recommend that this is one worth checking out just for my first impressions. Obviously, I need to do more of a deep dive into it to give you a full recommendation, but my first impressions are looking very promising. If you want to check out more gameplay videos of the Legion Go S, I'm going to be uploading them to my second channel. I actually started one just a few days ago called OK-ish Gamer. And that's where I'm going to be posting a number of gameplay clips across various devices. So subscribe and check that one out if you're interested. Or if you like more reviews like this, handheld news, and tutorials and guides, consider subscribing to this channel, the OK-ist Gamer. And I'll be uploading regularly, and you can stay up to date on all your handheld needs. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching.